of our undercover operations be where we're dealing with human trafficking, prostitution, child predators without Disney. He is a lifeguard at Disney Art of Animation Resort. So he gets to be a lifeguard and sit up and look at children all day long. We made 157 arrests, 47 prostitutes, 96 Johns. He is the classic example. If these child predators are not locked up, children are in bed.
When Sheriff Grady Judd stood before cameras during Operation Autumn Sweep, he delivered a line that would echo across Florida. "We always arrest Disney employees." Behind him stood mugshots of 3 men, a lifeguard from the Art of Animation Resort, a custodian who just moved from Philadelphia, and a backstage utilities worker from Haines City, all employed by the most trusted brand in family entertainment, all arrested for attempting to solicit sex from children. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was the latest chapter in a pattern stretching back nearly 2 decades, where the very employees' parents trust to protect their children at the happiest place on earth were being charged with preying on them. The betrayal cuts deeper because of the magic-dusted illusion. Mickey Mouse ears and child predators shouldn't exist in the same universe. Yet here they were, Brandon Orr, the 28-year-old lifeguard, engaged to be married, showing up at an undercover location thinking he was meeting a 14-year-old girl. Kyle Widmeyer, the 20-year-old custodian who just started his Disney career, now facing solicitation charges. Juan Albino, the 35-year-old married utilities worker, caught in the same net. How does this keep happening? How did Disney's environment become a hunting ground? The answer lies in digital footprints, systemic vulnerabilities, and a shocking pattern that law enforcement has been tracking since 2006. This isn't just about individual bad actors, it's about how predators exploit trust, how institutions miss red flags, and how police are connecting online grooming to real-world positions of access. The numbers tell a story that Disney would rather not acknowledge. Since 2006, at least 35 Disney employees have been arrested and charged with sex crimes involving children. 32 have been convicted. The cases read like a recurring nightmare. Lifeguards, ride operators, hotel staff, and contractors all using their Disney affiliation as camouflage. Why does this keep happening? The pattern reveals 3 critical factors: access, environment, and perceived trust. Disney World hosts over 50 million visitors annually, with tens of thousands of employees moving through a transient workforce. Predators seek these environments deliberately, places where suspicion is low and access to children is high. A man in a Disney uniform isn't questioned when he smiles at a child. A lifeguard watching over kids seems protective, not predatory. Sheriff Judd's team noticed a pattern years ago. Every operation, he noted, Disney employees show up. It wasn't coincidence. Law enforcement began cross-referencing digital evidence with employer databases. When undercover detectives posed as minors on chat apps and dating sites, they'd ask suspects where they worked. An answer always comes, Disney. Let's take Brandon Orr's case. The 28-year-old lifeguard didn't just mention his job, he used it to validate his credibility. "I work at Art of Animation." He'd tell what he thought was a 14-year-old girl. "I watch kids all day." This wasn't accidental disclosure, it was strategic grooming. He was leveraging Disney's reputation to lower guards and create opportunities. The internal vulnerabilities are equally concerning. Disney's massive operation relies heavily on subcontractors and third-party contractors. Background checks might catch felony convictions, but they miss digital footprints, the chat room conversations, the hidden social media profiles, the patterns of behavior that don't appear on formal records. High employee turnover creates constant churn, making ongoing monitoring nearly impossible. Law enforcement's intelligence gathering revealed something even more disturbing. Some predators specifically sought Disney employment for the access it provided. It wasn't just about the paycheck. It was about the proximity to children and the protective coloring of a trusted brand. When detectives built digital profiles of suspects, they found consistent patterns. Men using their Disney affiliation as part of their grooming strategy, presenting themselves as safe, trusted figures while hiding their true intentions. The timeline shows this isn't new. In 2022's Operation March Sadness, 4 Disney employees were arrested, including a Polynesian resort lifeguard who sent explicit messages to an undercover detective posing as a 14-year-old. In 2021's Operation Child Protector, 3 more Disney workers were caught attempting to meet minors. The pattern repeats because the environment remains target-rich. Endless streams of children, parents in vacation mode with lowered vigilance, and employees blending into the background of what's supposed to be America's safest fantasy. The breakthrough came when Polk County detectives decided to flip the script. Instead of waiting for predators to reveal themselves, they would build the perfect digital trap, one specifically designed to catch those hiding behind trusted positions. Operation Autumn Sweep wasn't just another sting. It was a precision intelligence operation launched during hurricane preparations when predators thought law enforcement would be distracted. Detectives created elaborate undercover profiles across multiple platforms, chat apps, social media, dating sites. They posed as minors, carefully documenting every interaction. But this time they added a new layer: employment cross-referencing. When suspects revealed where they worked, detectives immediately checked against Disney's public employee directories and contractor lists. The pattern emerged instantly: men using their Disney affiliation as part of their grooming strategy. Brandon Orr, the 28-year-old Art of Animation lifeguard, took the bait completely. He didn't just mention his job, he weaponized it. "I watch kids all day at Disney," he told what he thought was a 14-year-old girl, sending photos of the resort pool area to prove his credibility. He used his actual work schedule to coordinate meetings. "I'm off at 4 p.m. Tuesday, we can meet then." He even described his uniform, thinking these details would make him seem safer, more legitimate. The digital evidence became overwhelming. Orr sent explicit messages discussing sexual acts, repeatedly confirming he believed he was communicating with a minor. Meanwhile, Kyle Widmeyer, the newly hired custodian, was simultaneously engaging with another undercover account, his Disney employment serving as his primary credibility builder. "I just started at Magic Kingdom," he wrote, apparently thinking this would reassure his target. The coordination between agencies became textbook precision. Homeland Security, ICE, Army, Criminal Investigations, and multiple local departments shared real-time intelligence. They discovered several suspects were communicating across state lines, using Disney's reputation to establish trust with victims they'd never met. The operational planning was so tight that when Hurricane Milton forced an early shutdown, they'd already gathered enough evidence for 157 arrests. The takedown happened across multiple locations, but the most symbolic was a hotel room just miles from Disney's main gate. Detectives had chosen it deliberately close enough to feel familiar to Disney employees, anonymous enough to avoid suspicion. When Brandon Orr walked in, he found not a 14-year-old girl, but waiting detectives who immediately recognized his Disney uniform. His statement to police said everything. "I literally do this at my job," referring to processing paperwork for arrested soldiers. Now, he would process his own. Sheriff Judd's press conference revealed the stunning scope. "We arrested one for human trafficking. Usually it's remarkably difficult to find the human trafficker, but we did this time." But the Disney connections drew immediate attention as mugshots flashed across screens. Orr, the lifeguard, Widmeyer, the custodian, Albino, the utilities worker, parents throughout Florida felt a visceral shock. These weren't anonymous predators, they were men who literally held their children's safety in their hands. The community reaction was immediate and furious. Parents flooded Disney's guest services with calls demanding better background checks. Local news stations ran side-by-side photos, Mickey Mouse waving to children alongside mugshots of employees who'd betrayed that trust. The irony was, crushing men paid to protect children at the most magical place on earth, now charged with attempting to harm them. But the operational success revealed deeper patterns. Detectives found that several suspects had previous arrests, 327 prior felony charges among all Autumn Sweep arrestees, 450 prior misdemeanors. These weren't first-time offenders, they were repeat players who'd learned to exploit system vulnerabilities. The Disney connection wasn't coincidental, it was strategic camouflage, leveraging brand trust to avoid suspicion. The human toll became apparent as victim advocates arrived on scene. Organizations like One More Child and Heartland for Children provided immediate support, recognizing that even attempted predation leaves psychological scars. As one advocate noted, The majority of people who enter prostitution do so under age 18. Almost every individual we meet has been a victim at some point. The operation had prevented new victims, but highlighted how many existing ones still needed help. Sheriff Judd's assessment was typically blunt. If this operation had only involved these arrests, it would have been a success. But the Disney pattern particularly troubled him. "We always arrest Disney employees," he repeated, emphasizing this wasn't anomaly but pattern. The sting had worked perfectly, but it revealed a systemic problem hiding in America's most trusted fantasy. The system failed because it was designed to catch paperwork, not predators. Disney's background checks, like most corporate screenings, look for felony convictions and formal red flags. But they don't see the digital footprints, the chat room patterns, the grooming behaviors that happen off the clock. They miss the man who clears a criminal background check but spends his nights trolling teen chat rooms using his Disney ID as credibility. Here's how the camouflage works. High employee turnover creates constant churn. Over 70,000 cast members work across Disney World, with thousands more through subcontractors and third-party vendors. The system prioritizes filling positions over deep vetting. Once hired, there's minimal rescreening, no ongoing monitoring of digital activity, no behavioral reassessments. A predator gets through the initial gate and operates undetected for years. Sheriff Judd's team identified the perfect storm: transient workforce, minimal re-verification, and the protective coloring of a trusted brand. Predators weren't just finding jobs at Disney, they were seeking them deliberately. The uniform became the ultimate disguise. A man in Mickey-themed attire doesn't raise suspicions when he interacts with children. A lifeguard sitting poolside appears protective, not predatory. The environment itself provided cover. Victim advocates note this pattern isn't unique to Disney, it's textbook predator behavior. They seek trusted institutions where suspicion is naturally low. Churches, schools, youth organizations. Disney's family-friendly reputation made it ideal camouflage. As one investigator noted, these men weren't just working at Disney, they were using Disney. They dropped their employer's name during grooming attempts, showing photos of themselves in uniform, describing their access to children as a selling point. The internal policies versus reality gap becomes glaring. Disney's public safety statements emphasize extensive measures and background checks, but law enforcement findings show these measures miss digital behavioral patterns. The company relies on subcontractors who may perform less rigorous screenings. There's no system for ongoing digital monitoring or behavioral reassessment after hiring. Once you're in, you're trusted until you're caught. Judd's warning echoes through every press conference. Reputation doesn't equal immunity. The arrests prove that predators understand institutional trust better than the institutions themselves. They know parents let their guards down at Disney. They know a company focused on magic isn't looking for monsters hiding behind Mickey's ears. The haunting reality is this: we built temples to childhood innocence, and predators found them perfect for hunting. Sheriff Judd's final warning says it all. If we didn't get you this time, we will next time. You're on your way to the county jail, you just don't realize it yet. But the deeper question remains unanswered. Can any system truly secure a fantasy built for children? The illusion of safety might be the most dangerous vulnerability of all. When we believe a place is magically protected, we stop watching for threats. When we trust the costume, we forget to check the person wearing it. The tension remains unresolved because the solution requires more than better background checks. It demands acknowledging that predators will always seek trusted environments. Vigilance, not magic, protects children. Transparency, not fantasy, prevents exploitation. Accountability, not reputation, deters predators. If this investigation reveals anything, it's that safety isn't a place you visit, it's a system you maintain. Even in the most magical places on Earth, darkness finds ways through the cracks. The real magic would be building systems that recognize this reality without destroying the wonder. Next time, we investigate how law enforcement stings are evolving to target entertainment industry predators, and why some institutions resist the scrutiny that could actually protect their magic. And if you want to follow the next chapter in this fight, hit subscribe and stay with us.
'Cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that